Hi everyone, I'm Maggie, and if you're struggling with English and want to improve your communication, this is the channel for you. Today I'm gonna tackle present perfect simple. I know you are scared of it. Don't. It's not a monster. So today I'm gonna demystify it. The first step, do not try to translate it. The same way you use formulas in Excel and don't try to translate into words, present perfect is better absorbed if you understand it in English. Let's start with two simple sentences. I work for ABC. I joined ABC 6 months ago. Present perfect allows us to put those two sentences together in one. I have worked for ABC for 6 months. Or, I have worked for ABC since September last year. To use present perfect, you will need the past participle of the main verb and the auxiliary verbs have and has. The past participle is the third column. When you deal with regular verbs, that's not a big deal. You're gonna have call, called, called, ask, asked, asked. So you're just gonna use the same form as the past form. However, when you use irregular verbs like go, went, gone, be, was, were, been, you're gonna have to memorize the verb list. If you have trouble memorizing irregular verbs, there is a content in my playlist where I tackle key strategies to help you do that. Just click on the link above. Back to our example. I have worked for ABC for 6 months, or I have worked for ABC since September last year. You can either use for when you're talking about quantity of months or days or hours, or since when you're talking about a specific moment. Let's say February 10th, last summer. Let's check your understanding. Another example, I live in Manhattan. I moved to Manhattan 3 years ago. So you're gonna get the first verb, transform it to present perfect using the auxiliary verb. I have lived in Manhattan for 3 years. For more natural speech, just make a contraction and you have I've lived in Manhattan for 3 years. Pretty cool, isn't it? You can use present perfect simple in 4 other situations when you are discussing your professional or personal life or experience, when you are talking about your to-do list or following up on something, when you are referring to repeated actions in the past, or simply talking about recent actions. Life or professional experience. Have you ever been to Canada? You are very familiar with this question, aren't you? So just take that and use it as a reference. So you're going to be using present perfect simple in this context, in job interviews, for example. Have you ever worked for an international company? Have you ever reported to an American manager? So that's going to be the same structure. So that's one situation. For life and professional experience, there are 2 words that might help you trigger your memory. Never, for negative, so I've never reported to an American manager, or ever for questions. Have you ever worked for an international company? To-do list and follow-up. You know that to-do list that we all have and we never complete? Yeah, that's the one we're gonna be using for present perfect. So, I haven't dealt with my emails yet. For negative, use yet at the end of the sentence. For affirmative, use already. So, I've already booked my flight to Buenos Aires. And this is going to be very useful, especially at work, when you are asked about your tasks and you're going to just reply like that. I haven't finished my deck yet, and I have already talked to the client about that issue. When you make follow-up questions, you're gonna use the interrogative form, and as using inversion. So you're gonna have you finished that report yet? So here you have the two words to remember, yet and already, yet for negative and interrogative, and always used at the end of the sentence, and already following the auxiliary verb. So just recapping, have you finished that report yet? I haven't called the client yet. I've already booked my flight to Buenos Aires. The next situation you are going to use present perfect simple is recent past. So the two words that are going to help you with that are just and recently. Let me give you an example. I've recently bought a car. I have just finished that report. So in these sentences, you don't need and you cannot use a reference in the past. Otherwise, that will be considered simple past. What are you focusing on here? It is the main action. So most of us learning present perfect try to avoid it and say something like, I sent you that email, and then you think a little because you have to find that moment in the past and say 3 days ago. Whereas you can simply say, have you seen the email I sent? Or I've already sent that email. So present perfect helps you be more on point, straight to the point. This is very, very important, and it's one of the verb tenses that are mostly used anywhere, especially in business. Finally, repeated actions. Normally, when we are talking about the simple past, we have one action in a specific moment in the past. So, if I say, I called you last night, I need last night as a reference. However, if I called you last night and I called you this morning and I called you this afternoon, I can use one sentence by transforming that into present perfect and removing the moments in which I called you. So, I've called you many times. It is very straight to the point and focus on the main action, which is I called you. And when you say repeated actions, when you use repeated actions, what are you really trying to say? You say, where have you been? So repeated actions are very, very important because they focus on the main action and what you are actually trying to say. You're going to use that with twice, 3 times, many times, several times. So to recap, present perfect simple can be used in 5 different circumstances. When you talk about your personal and professional experience, when you merge 2 sentences, one in the present and one in the past, which represents something that is true today, repeated actions, follow up, and to-do list, and recent past. You are going to need auxiliary verb have and has plus the past participle of the main verb. I've given you some keywords so that you can trigger your memory. For life and professional experience, you have never and ever. For to-do list and follow-up, you have yet and already. Recent actions, you've got just and recently. When you merge 2 sentences, you can use for and since. And repeated actions when you use times, many times, twice, 3 times. If you grasped the idea of present perfect, you are halfway there. So in order for you to start using it more naturally, the best way is by creating sentences of your own. Let's align our expectations. The first thing is for you to have a good idea on which situations you're going to use present perfect simple. And I hope that now you do. For you to start using it more naturally, it is necessary for you to practice. Now, as you know, practice makes perfect. So if you want to practice a little more, There are more videos that might help you, so check the playlist. If you like this video, just click that button, leave your comment. Subscribe if you are interested in more content on how to improve English. And thank you for watching. See you next time.